It is my pleasure to introduce Dr. Batman Galich. Dr. Batman Galich is a formally trained medical doctor who received his medical education and training at St. Mary's Hospital Medical School of London University. He has spent most of his scientific life researching the link between pain and disease and chronic dehydration. He discovered the healing powers of water 21 years ago when he was serving time as a political prisoner in an Iranian jail. And he successfully treated 3,000 fellow prisoners suffering from stress-induced peptic ulcer disease with the only medication he possessed, water. This is when he understood for the first time in medical history that the body indicates its water shortage by producing pain. Since his prison experience, he has focused his full time and attention on dehydration-produced health problems in the body. His discovery has helped hundreds of thousands of people suffering from a variety of pains and degenerative diseases regain their health. Dr. Batman Galich has presented his findings at several international and world conferences, and they have been published and peer-reviewed in a number of scientific journals. His findings are now available to the public in an easy-to-understand form in his 4 books, and his videotapes and audio tapes of his lectures plus combination programs. These health education materials have been peer and media reviewed and acclaimed both nationally and internationally. He is the author of 4 books, and they are Your Body's Many Cries for Water, How to Deal with Back Pain and Rheumatoid Joint Pain, Water, Prescription for a Healthier Pain-Free Life, and ABC of Asthma, Allergies, and Lupus. It is my pleasure to welcome Dr. Batman Galich.
Ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Patel, it gives me a pleasure to be here and present to you once again my view or my discovery that chronic unintentional dehydration is the primary cause of pain and disease, including cancer, in the human body. As you know, I discovered this pain-relieving property of water in a stressful environment, in a human laboratory, stress laboratory called a wind prison, where people were involved, not animals or rats. They had tongues, they could speak, and they could indicate their relief, they could give out their symptoms, and one could evaluate the impact of water on their health and well-being. A wind prison will probably be remembered throughout future history that we are going to make out of that event. A significant turning point in the life of mankind, not because the authorities there killed a lot of people, but because they produced a stressful environment where the human body could reveal its stress-induced health problems, and water could reveal its magical curative properties in stress-induced health problems. We are better off as a result of what they did because of this discovery than anything that was done in research of medicine for the past 100 years. Because since 100 years ago, when we in medicine, my predecessors, started looking at the science of medicine, the question was asked, when is the body thirsty. A man by the name of Maurice Schiff, a Frenchman, said that thirst is a general sensation, and tried to stress this issue that we should look at dehydration through different perspectives in the body. Then there came a doctor by the name of Walter Bradford Cannon, an Englishman. He said, no, thirst is indicated by a dry mouth. When the mouth is dry, the body is thirsty. So we should drink water when we have a dry mouth. He was a very influential person, and the scientific community and the medical community bought into this false statement. And 100 years of money and time has been spent chasing this false assumption. And when we should have 100 years ago learned more about impact of dehydration in the human body, we wasted 100 years, and today at the end of, or at the dawn of the 21st century, we are beginning to understand that the dehydration manifests itself in as many ways as we in medicine have invented disease conditions. We in medicine, not knowing that dehydration becomes symptom producing and lack of water in the body is pathology producing, we have labeled states of dehydration, complications of dehydration, as disease conditions, and most often diseases of unknown etiology, in other words, cause unknown. When the body has been calling for water, it has become a fixed tradition to give it medication, to give it toxic chemicals, without trying to stress this aspect of the flaw in our thinking. I would like to get into the lecture and explain how dehydration is the cause of disease in the human body. As our famous thinker of the time said, in order to solve problems, we need to up the level of thinking from the level of thought that created those problems. That is why we need to establish a paradigm shift in our mind and forget a lot of information that we were fed and we were forced to memorize in health matters and in science of medicine. 20th century medicine is based on 4 false assumptions. The entire monument of medicine, including this beautiful structure of Jefferson University Hospital Medical School, is based on 4 false assumptions. Dry mouth is the only true indicator of thirst, which it is not. In order to be able to chew and swallow food, which is a primary function for the body, we produce ample saliva even though the rest of the body may be dehydrated. So dry mouth is not a sign of dehydration. And as I will explain, people who've just eaten a heavy meal and within half an hour they start getting heartburn, they were able to swallow that food even though they were thirsty. The second false assumption is that water has no direct metabolic impact. It has no direct chemical effect. And the body is regulated by the solutes, by the elements that it dissolves in itself in the human body. In fact, we thought that we've taken the science of chemistry and rammed it into the human body when we discovered that the human body is made up of the similar elements that we tested in discipline of chemistry. We assumed automatically, as we did in chemistry, that water has no role. It's substance A and substance B that are principal agents in any chemical reaction. But water has no direct role in itself, which is a wrong assumption. The third false assumption is that water regulatory mechanisms of the body are efficient throughout the lifespan of a person. We begin to lose our perception of thirst as we grow older, and we allow dehydration to settle in our body. So this is another false assumption. The fourth false assumption is that all fluids can replace the water needs of the body, which is wrong. Water is water. Whatever is a fluid is not necessarily acting in the body in the same capacity as water. For example, milk is not water. It is food. Caffeine in beverages has its own agenda in the human body. It dehydrates the body. Its effect on the brain and kidneys results in a lot of production of urine. It's going to flush more water out of the out of the body than there is water in the beverage. So when you drink a cup of coffee and it's 200 cc's, your body will begin to lose at least 230, 250, depending on how dehydrated you are and how your body is trying to conserve its water content. But caffeine, the sum total of it is that it dehydrates the body. Caffeine does something else which is absolutely detrimental to the health of any living matter, and that is that it inhibits the enzyme phosphodiesterase, which is essential in memory making. Dr. Patel just now was telling me that he was one of the original discoverers of phosphodiesterase activity, and well, Dr. Patel, caffeine inhibits that enzyme activity. It's been discovered in fruit flies that the fruit flies totally forget their ability to fly off. The art of camouflage is lost, and they become easy prey to whatever is about to eat them. In fact, coffee plant is using caffeine as a chemical warfare, because once any predator would eat the coffee bean, which is supposed to generate the next species of the coffee plant in the soil, it's enzymes that will allow it to remember when to camouflage, when to be alert, to be responsive and reactive and quick and agile. That ability will go, and that critter or whatever eats it will become prey to its own predator. And that is how the coffee plant defends itself or its next generation species.